All right, here we go. Just a couple weeks left in 2022. With the market being completely crazy now, after being completely crazy in a completely different way earlier this year, with only a couple weeks left in the year, I've got four predictions. What's going to happen in the next 3 months in real estate. And finally, after a lot of wondering and looking and waiting and watching, I'm pretty confident about these predictions. So we've got four predictions what's going to happen in the real estate market here in Atlanta next couple months. Buckle up, here we go. This is Steve, Mullen Realty Group, EXP, here in the Atlanta area. All right, so the market started out pretty crazy in the beginning part of the year. Now, where are we? We are at basically November 9th that we're recording this. What's going to happen from here? Well, there really wasn't a lot of headwinds. And when I was talking to a lot of our sellers and our buyers about what's going to happen, there weren't a lot of headwinds. We're kind of out in the ocean, just bobbing around. Nobody was pushing in one direction or the other direction. We're just kind of bobbing and waiting to see what happens. I think that the winds have now kind of defined what direction they're pushing in. It's not a slam dunk, but based on everything that we've seen in the last several years that we've been in real estate, I feel pretty confident that we have an idea of where we're going from here. So here we go. Top four predictions for the real estate market in the next couple of months. Here we go. All right, number one, let's talk about interest rates. Interest rates have been going up and going up and going up and going up. It's been crazy. They have been, in the last couple of days, basically in the low to mid 7% range for a 30-year fixed rate conventional loan. It's the highest rates that we've seen probably since the early 2000s, 2001, 2002. It's been a while, and a lot of people are on the sidelines saying, look, I got a rate at 2 point something or 3 point something, and I am not moving to get a rate that's at 7 or 7.5 unless I absolutely have to. That's where we are right now. Okay, that's part of the reason why the market's so stalled right now is because a lot of sellers just don't want to move right now. And a lot of buyers don't want to buy with a rate at 7%. So I look at that rate and I say, you know what? My prediction, we've hit the top. The rate somewhat mirrors and is somewhat married to inflation. Okay, it's why the rates were so crazy in the 80s. The rates were 10%, 11%, 12% back in the 80s. It's because inflation was crazy back in the 80s. And then it kind of calmed down and the rates calmed down. Inflation goes up, the rates go up. Inflation's going to come down, the rates come down. Tomorrow, now we're recording this Wednesday, November 9th. Tomorrow, Thursday, November 10th, the Consumer Price Index comes out. That is one of the key indicators of what's going on and what the Feds are going to do with inflation. Okay, the number right now is 8.3. That's the number that they see now. That number of 8.3, how do they come up with a Consumer Price Index? They add the indexes for the last 12 months, add them all together. That's the 8.3. So some months are 0.7, some are 1, some are 1.2, some are 0.1, whatever. And you add them all together, and blam, there's your number of 8.3. So the two most important things when figuring out what the CPI is going to be tomorrow is A, what happened in October of this year, and B, what happened in October of last year. Because if October last year was 0, and October of this year is 1, then the rate's going to go up 1 and everybody's going to freak out. That's not what happened. October of last year, the number was at 0.8. Okay? So even if tomorrow's number comes in October was at 0.8, the CPI is going to come in flat at 8.3. Okay? Hopefully you understand that because I'm not very good at explaining things. So if I didn't explain it right, let me know. Looking at what's happened over the last couple of months, though, I don't think it's going to be 0.8. I think it's going to be closer, maybe 0.2 or 0.3. It may be a good 0.5 lower than it was the same month last year. What does that mean? I think it means the Consumer Price Index could be back in the 7s tomorrow. It won't be 100% unexpected, but I think on its face what it will look like is that, oh my goodness, maybe inflation is taking a little step back. Okay? So it gets back down to the 7s, all of a sudden people start to breathe, whatever. I think that looking at everything that the Feds have done, looking at everything that's happening, we are over the peak of inflation mountain. I thought it was a couple months ago. I was wrong. Or it's just been a very slow going over the peak. But I think we're over the peak. It's a long way down from here. It's not a free fall. It's a long way down from here. So it's going to take a while for inflation to get under control. But I think we're over the peak. Okay? Because of all of that, I think that inflation measures are going to be going down. I think people are going to start thinking that way. People are going to start relaxing about it. And I think that's going to have a reflection in the interest rates. I think the interest rates have seen the top. It looks like they're going to come down from here. Now, I am not saying they're going to be 2% by the end of the year. Not even close. Okay? The end of the year, we might be in the upper sixes. We're in the low sevens right now. Now, keep in mind, I am not a lender. I am just shooting from the hip, talking about interest rates. So don't quote me on anything. For the most up-to-date information, call your local lending provider. There you go. But what do I think is going to happen? And again, I don't have the 3-letter thing on the back of the name to give me the right to say this, but I got a YouTube channel. Here I go. I think the rates are going to go down in the low six or upper sixes, it should say, by the end of the year. I think next year they just slowly drop, and they're going to wobble a little bit, but I think they slowly drop through the year. I think we may end up in the upper fives by the end of next year. Not super fantastic compared to where we were, but rates in the 2s and 3s, I hope you enjoyed them. Hope you took advantage of them, but not coming back. Not for a while, not unless something major happens. Major stuff happens, and it could happen again, but what it looks like right now is the rates are going to slowly go down. Eventually, we're going to get in the neighborhood of 4 to 5. That's going to be where we're going to settle, in the 4s and 5s probably. And that's probably going to be as good as it's going to be naturally on its own going forward. If something crazy happens, it goes down. If something needs to be corrected, they go up. But 4s to 5s sounds like where we're headed long term. Next year, I think we end up in the upper 5s by the end of the year. That's my guess. So, prediction number 1. Interest rates right now are the worst interest rates you're going to see in the next 12 months. Rates are going down from here. All right, prediction number 2. Home prices are actually going to improve next year. I know a lot of people are freaked out because home prices nationwide are going down. That is really tied to what's going on in some of the other areas. There are a lot of areas where a lot of people are moving from, a lot of areas where people are moving to. Like certain states where people don't want to be there anymore because of the political climate or whatever it is, the actual climate. You tell me. But they're going to other states where there's a better either political climate or actual climate. Like where we are. We have beautiful climate here. It's Atlanta. Everybody's coming to Atlanta. We're a technology hub. We're a travel hub. We're close to everything. Fantastic weather. And it's Atlanta. Who doesn't love Atlanta? I love Atlanta. I've been living here for 35 years? So here we go. People are coming. We have low inventory and people are coming. At worst, we stay pretty flat for the next couple, 3, maybe 4 months, and then we steadily climb from there. And the home prices on average are probably a little bit lower now than they were back in June maybe. June it was crazy. Then it came down in July, and then in August, the average home price of a home sold in the metro Atlanta area was something in the upper 4s. We've been holding there pretty steady the last couple of months, September and October. Haven't seen a drop. It's just been holding steady. I think we continue to hold steady. We don't have a lot of buying going on right now because a lot of the buyers are being very picky because they know there's not a lot of buyers in the market. And a lot of the sellers, they're just not putting up with it. If they can't get the number they want, they won't sell if they don't have to. So we're kind of at a stalemate right now. A lot of things have slowed down to a crawl right now in real estate. But what does that mean? That just means homes aren't selling. We don't have enough homes on the market to justify the homes going down in value. Okay? Demand is low. Supply is low. That's not enough to drive prices down. Now, if demand was really, really low and supply was really, really high, like it was back in 07, 08, that's the recipe to see home prices go crashing. It's not there. It doesn't look like it's going to be there anytime soon. Okay, so in the Atlanta area, now keep that in mind. If you're watching this in San Diego, this is not the real estate report for you. Okay, the real estate report for you is you've seen home prices go down about 10%, and it may not be done yet. Okay, if you're here in Atlanta and you're watching this, we're pretty flat right now. But after 2 years of going up 20%, flat for the next couple months is not a bad thing, and then we'll steadily go up from there. So that's prediction number 2. Home prices, what are they going to do in the next couple months? Probably stay flat, and then they go up, but I don't think that they're going down from here. All right, prediction number 3, buyer demand has been very low, as we just talked about. But I think that once we get into next year, I'm thinking maybe February-ish, March-ish, buyer demand is going to come back. It's going to come back big. I thought it was going to come back and fall. Everything was starting to look like it was going to come back and fall. And right after Labor Day is when the rates hit 7%. And it just took the legs out from under the fall market and never got started. So the fall market is very, very slow. Winter market's going to be very, very slow. But what's going to happen between now and February? Between now and February, any kind of election stuff that happened last night or is going to happen with runoffs or, people being sworn in, blah, 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 is going to be done. The interest rates are going to be lower, in my opinion, as we talked about earlier. It's going to start looking like things are stabilizing. With all of those things, buyers are going to come back. You have to keep in mind how many buyers were in the market earlier this year. There are boatloads of buyers in the market that wanted to buy a house. They pulled out because of the interest rates. They pulled out because they retired. They pulled out for all kinds of reasons, okay? But they're still there. These people still want to buy houses. These buyers still want to buy houses. That hasn't changed, and there's a lot of them. There's going to be an interest rate where the interest rates are going to hit. Just like there was an interest rate when the interest rates hit, the buyer said, I'm out. There's also an interest rate when the buyers see it, they're going to say, like, I'm back. Let's do this. I think it's going to happen sometime in the spring. I think the buyers are going to say, you know what, we're getting better. It looks like home prices are starting to pick up a little bit. It looks like the rates are okay. The economy's okay. People talking about there's going to be a recession next year, whatever, There's always going to be a recession, okay? To me, I'm one of those people that see, is real estate a good investment or not? It all comes down to that. Is real estate going to be a good investment or not? To me, it's a great investment. It's going to go up in value. Have there been times where it's gone down? Yes. Has it come back? Yes. Real estate's going to go up in value. Okay? You can't tell me of all the stocks that you can handpick the stock, which ones went up, which ones went down. Okay? Some go up, some go down. This, that, real estate. Some goes up more than others. Real estate goes up in value. Okay? So if you put me in a position where I have the money, I can make it happen, I find the house, I can get a deal on it, I make the jump, I go. Okay? People need to be ready to make a swing. Take advantage of the market. Okay? People are going to be in that position once we get into next year. They're finally going to say, you know what, everything lines up, let's do this. Okay? I think a lot of investors are jumping now because they see the lack of buyers, things like that. But I think once we get into spring, buyer demand is going to be back. Okay, it's not going to be like it was in 2021, 2022, the beginning part of this year. It was crazy. The pandemic market was crazy. The market is over. Okay, now we're getting into regular real estate. And that brings me into number 4. All right, so this one's more of a long-term one. The 2023 market is going to look a lot like 2019. Why does that matter? 2019 is a pre-pandemic market. Starting 2000, we were in the pandemic market through half of 2022. Second half of 2022 is just a crazy, like a Twilight Zone market. It's just been weird. We're just holding on for dear life, helping as many people as we can as we do it. I think once we get into next year, we get into regular real estate. That's what we saw in 2019. That's what we saw in 2018. What we saw in 2017. To give you an idea of what we saw. Instead of home prices going up 20% every year, which is crazy, in those years, 2017, home prices in the Atlanta area went up about 5%. 2018, it went up about 7%. 2019, 4.5%. And then 2020 was the beginning of the pandemic market, and you know what happened from there. The average year is going to be 4 to 5%. That's what's going to happen next year. It's going to be a seller's market. We're seeing right now homes going to be in the neighborhood of like 2.5 to 3 months worth of inventory. Technically, it's a seller's market. It's what we saw in 2019, what we saw in 2018, what we saw in 2017. Okay? What that means is sellers are going to be able to sell their house for a pretty decent price. And if it's priced right and looks the part, it should sell pretty good. Okay? Buyers are going to be able to get a decent deal. They may have to pay close to asking, but there's not going to be 75 offers on the house. You're not going to have to, cut off your right arm to get the house. You can actually get an inspection on it, get an appraisal on it, things like that. That's the market I think we get into. The biggest mistake I think a lot of people make is they look at leaving the pandemic market and going into a regular market as a major step down, end of days type thing in real estate. The market in 2019 was not bad. The market in 2018 was not bad. it was not super crazy, supercalifragilistic market. It was regular seller's market. Good for sellers, good for buyers. It was good real estate. Okay, that's what we're getting back into. So we're not gonna panic. Okay, the one thing I see people talking about is the home prices have gone up 20% each of the last couple of years. You put a pin in it right now and look at what it was like a year ago. Home prices are probably 10% higher, 12% higher, something like that. So it's not the 20% right now. It's like 10, 12% because it's coming back down. So what happens is a lot of people see that and what they say is, oh my goodness, it was 20% year over year and now it's like 12% year over year. It's the biggest decline in the history of real estate, which means instead of it being super crazy, unbelievable 20%, it's pretty good 12%. Okay. If you go back in time and ask anybody would they like 12% more in 1 year from today from where they are right now, they'll take it. They'll say yes. Okay. Yes, it's the biggest decrease in the history of real estate. We've never seen 20% year over year, like 2.5 years in a row. It's crazy. Okay. So I say all of that to say we're not going to panic. We're not going to freak out. Next year is going to be a regular year in real estate. Buyers are going to want to buy. Sellers are going to want to sell. There's going to be open houses. We're going to get back to the real world. The election will be behind us. We'll be getting ready for the craziness of 2024. What a show it will be. But in the meantime, 2023, we're back to regular real estate. Rates are going to be better. There are going to be more houses on the market to choose from for buyers. Sellers are still going to be able to sell their houses. Pandemic market's over. And if you're waiting for the pandemic market to come back, you got to wait for another big catastrophe in the world to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it never happens. Catastrophes are bad. Okay? Play the hand you're dealt. And that's what I was talking about earlier about, you've got to know when it's time to make a jump. Okay? Play the hand you're dealt. It's a good time for real estate. Home prices are going to keep going up. Rates are going to keep slowly dropping. Buy it now. You could refi if it keeps going down, or you have a lower rate if it keeps going up. Either way. Okay? But number 4, again, the market 2023 is going to look a lot like the pre-pandemic market, and that's not a bad thing. All right, so there you go. There's my top 4 predictions. Again, we've topped out on interest rates. Home prices are flat the next couple months, and they're going to slowly start going up. We're not going to, in Atlanta, see a wholesale drop in prices. Sorry. It might wiggle a little bit in the next couple months, but they're going to keep going up. Not as crazy as it's been, but there you go. Number 3, buyer demand is going to return. The buyers did not just disappear and get flown to another planet. They're still there. They still want to buy. When the situation changes and they look like they want to buy, they're going to jump back in. Number 4, next year's market, while it's going to be markedly slower than the pandemic market, of course it is. That couldn't last forever. It's going to be a pre-pandemic market, which is pretty darn good. So we're not going to freak out. We're just going to do some real estate. So there you go. So what does that mean for you? Good question. Whether you're a buyer or a seller, you may have questions about timing-wise. When's the best time to buy in this market? When's the best time to sell in this market? Because I've been telling all my buyers, jump now because the buyers are going back. I'm telling all my sellers, look, if you want to sell by the end of the year, jump now because it's going to be really quiet. If you want to sell because you want to maximize the amount of equity in your house, it may make sense to wait a little bit. Okay, so we're telling all our people a little something different. If you want to talk about your unique situation, give me a shout, 470-233-4409. This is Steve. Take care, bye. Hey, thanks for watching the video today. If you want more information on what's going on in the real estate market, take a look at some of these videos over here that we've posted, keeping up with what buying, selling, things that are going on in the North Georgia market. But if you want to keep up with everything that we post to our YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel down there, bottom right. That way you won't miss out on anything.